Okay, so I'm someone who grew up on a lot of Cartoon Network. Heck, I still tune into the channel every now and then. Cartoon Network really helped shape the person I am today, and I'm really sentimental towards the channel. And while I did spend a lot of time glued to that channel, there was one I'd hop into every now and then. The only other rival to Cartoon Network then, Disney Channel. We didn't really have access to Nickelodeon until the 2010s, so a lot of our times were spent on either Cartoon Network or Disney. I only ever did tune into Disney to watch stuff like Kim Possible, Lilo and Stitch, and the occasional sitcoms that aired every now and then. But when all that was said and done, I would go back to Cartoon Network, so I wasn't all that attached to Disney. The only other time Disney popped into my radar was during the time Gravity Falls came out, and I followed that show religiously. But what was really weird was, at that time, Gravity Falls seemed to be the only animated show on the channel. Well, that and Phineas and Ferb. Any other time I'd pop in, they'd be showing one sitcom or the other, and sometimes it'd be a telenovela. To make things even weirder, they shifted a good chunk of their animated shows, most of which were really good, to Disney XD. I'm talking Kick Buttowski, Wander Over Yonder, Slug Terra, and my personal favorites, Randy Cunningham, 9th Grade Ninja. But those would all end up being short-lived. Why am I talking about all this? Well, it's to put a bit of context as to how I didn't really rate Disney growing up, and eventually forgot about the channel altogether. But then something happened. I began to hear more and more about a Disney show that tended to be dark sometimes. People around the internet were going around saying that this was just as good as Gravity Falls. As good as Gravity Falls? Well, now I had to see that. So I stumbled onto the Owl House. And this show struck a chord deep in my soul. Before I go on, I just gotta say, this video isn't going to be a traditional review or analysis of some sorts. This is just the heartfelt ramblings of a slice of bread. So if you're here looking for the former, you'd have to check somewhere else. But please don't go, I promise this will be worth the watch. Okay, moving on. The best way to describe the Owl House would be, it's an isekai. Wait. Don't go, hear me out first. The show is about this cheeky little lady, Luz, and how she stumbles into the demon world and stays to learn magic and become a witch under the guidance of the also amazing witch and best girl, Ida, along with the incredibly marketable monarch, king, and the literal living owl house, Hootie. So she spends her time in the demon world getting enrolled into demon magic school where she makes friends, gets into hijinks, and slowly masters magic to become a witch. Pretty simple, yeah? On paper, yes, but it takes that simplicity to creative new levels. The first thing that sticks out to me is the show's setting. The demon world, or as they call it, the Boiling Isles, isn't set on some kind of generic fantasy land with monsters and stuff. It's set on the decayed body of a massive being called a Titan. Life has evolved to live off the remains of this colossal being, which I think is really cool. They named the different areas after the different body parts, all of which have varying weather and quirks. It's a really unique setting that I don't see quite often. In fact, I can't even think of any other piece of fiction that does this. Not to say that there aren't any out there, I just can't think of any. And that's just the setting alone. There is so much good stuff that goes into the show that I love. Despite all the troubles the production had, they were able to make a really great show that I can't really find faults in. And the themes really show this. The main themes of the show are that of identity, expression, freedom, and finding family, all of which really resonate with me on a personal level. And our main character Luz really carries all of this. When the show starts out, we see that Luz tends to be seen as a bit much in everything she does. She's always been an eccentric girl oozing with creativity. A bit too much of it, which makes her be seen as a weirdo by her peers and adults alike. The only person that ever really supports her being her mom. This has led her to feel really out of place and not feeling like she fits in anywhere except in a space where she calls her own. Which is why she gravitates towards the Boiling Isles, where she thinks someone as weird as her would fit in. But even then, the people of the Boiling Isles still see her as an even bigger weirdo. But she's able to at least make friends and find people that actually accept and enjoy her company. The Boiling Isles is a place that isn't really welcome to change. There's a status quo that is kept that everyone else must follow or else face harsh consequences. And the reason for this is thanks to one of my all-time favorite animated villains, Bellows. The Boiling Isles has strict rules on who people can be and what they can do, which is strongly imposed on by the coven system, where practitioners of magic are sorted into covens, where they can only practice one type of magic and doing anything else is seen as taboo. It's a case of conform or die, or I guess, be punished. But Ida and Luz are the antithesis of this. Ida doesn't stick to just one type of magic as she sees it as a restriction on her freedom of expression. To Ida, magic is freedom and she wants to be free to use magic however she wants. And the same could be said about Luz too. In a world where everyone has to think and act a certain way, this is their own way of rebelling and I love that. They want the freedom to be who they want to be. It's not like they're actually using magic to hurt anyone. And I really get that. There are people out there who just exist in their own space doing what they love. Whatever interests or hobbies they have are for them and them alone. But for some reason, there's someone out there who just can't stand the fact that someone is having harmless fun. The easiest example of this would be the whole anime community. But I don't think I need to explain on that. We as people tend to incorporate the things we enjoy into tiny bits of our personalities. I'm sure there's that one TV show, video game, or even anime that you watched growing up that helped you become the person you are now, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's all part of our identity. Identity being another one of the Owl House's main themes. Pretty much every character struggles with their identity in one way or the other, trying to find out more about themselves and figure out what it is that makes them, them. From Amity's whole arc about growing into the person she wants to be rather than having others decide who she'll be, to Hunter's whole case about realizing his whole life was pretty much a lie and tries to find new purpose. These struggles are all personal and feel real to me. Even King, who started out as a cute and adorable sidekick, begins to have an existential crisis trying to find out where he is from and what he actually is, thinking by doing so he'll finally have some kind of identity, but when he does, nothing really changes, realizing that he's still him. This was something I didn't expect from this adorable little guy, and the same can be said about every other character. It was endearing and inspiring watching them sort through their internal struggles and relationships and grow as people. I left the Owl House with a newfound love for expression. It taught me what it means to have freedom through expression and creativity. As a creator myself, I often felt restricted by my works, putting so much of myself into it that it began to feel suffocating and make me feel resentful towards the whole process. Something that only became more pronounced when I began making content for YouTube. Creating for YouTube can be really emotionally tasking. A lot of people, myself included, get into this because they just want to talk about the things they love. Maybe they want to share knowledge they have, or maybe they just want to post memes. But the more you start to take it seriously, looking into how to get your video out there, you slowly begin to stop making content for others and yourself. You look at trends, see what other people are doing, trying to understand what makes a good thumbnail and titles, etc, etc. But then that's when it hits you. You're making content for an algorithm. An algorithm that can be pretty inconsistent. It confuses and bums you out. You don't know what you're doing right, you don't know what you're doing wrong, and worst of all, it's not fun anymore. The Owl House helped remind me why it is I do what I do, why I create, and the feeling that comes with creating and expressing myself. It's my own type of freedom. Despite how rough the show was treated while its second season was airing, which caused a lot of the plot points and story beats to get shuffled around and axed, they did a really good job making do with what they were given to complete the character arcs and tie up loose ends however they could. And it even shows in the show itself. If you go back and watch the first episode and compare it to the tone of the third season, you can straight up feel how vastly different the tones are. It honestly pains me to see how the show got treated, but through it all they were able to tell a compelling story loved by people all around the world. It's a testament to the indomitable will of people who are passionate about their creations and willing to do anything to see them come to life. And that is just damn inspiring. So if you haven't already, do yourself a favor and give this show a watch. This has been your very favorite slice of bread. Stay toasty.